Every archive keeps one record it is not allowed to open. Mine was sealed at the bottom of a sea. The last record ended in the middle of a sentence, a drowned god speaking to a sleepless man, and the permission to hear the answer had not yet been granted. It has been granted now. This is the record of a question, and of the one-word answer that nearly ended the Tenno. The record reads, "Who destroyed the Orokin? Your way of life? Who do you hunt shadow, to cleanse your despair in their blood?" The answer was one word, Tenno. Then the voice named itself, the way an executioner signs a warrant. "I am Hunhao, sentient destroyer of worlds. By your hand, expose their heart. By my edge, cleave it beating from its nest. Understand what the Grineer had dug out of that sea. Not a body. Pieces of Hunhao, the record says. Fragments of his body. And for Hunhao, every fragment is connected to one singular mind. The excavators thought they had found relics. They had woken a chorus. He did not rise from the water. He rose somewhere worse. The lotus, the hollow one who stole the moon to hide her children, felt him arrive. Her own words survive. The sentient Hunhao has grown strong again, and his thoughts have invaded my own. Her father was awake, and he was inside her mind. So the mother went quiet. Every word to her children was a word he could hear. "Hunhao is in my mind," she warned them. "I need to limit my communication with you." And through that stolen mind he spoke to her, like a parent correcting a child. "With love I will destroy them, and write you again." She answered with the only defiance left. "You will never find them, Hunhao." And the god replied with the sentence every parent fears. "But I see your mind. I already have found them." What he wanted had a name. The reservoir. The Tenno heart. A womb in the sky, forbidden to his kind, but not to his new shadow. Out of options, the record turns to a strange page. In a raided Grineer vault, a message was waiting, addressed to the lotus by name, an offer of help. She did not trust the man who wrote it, and said so. But the author had a point. Genocidal invaders from the other system, he wrote, make strange bedfellows. His name was Alad V. Corpus, a salvager who had cut Tenno open before, and would again. The archive notes his help without warmth, because his reasoning was honest, the way only a merchant is honest. All the credits in the system, he said, aren't worth half as much as a Tenno owing you a favor. He led the Tenno to the dig site, and to the thing the Grineer had crated for shipping, a fragment of the Warfather himself. The lotus reached into it to see through it, to find the shadow before he found her secret. The record preserves the moment the trap closed. Thank you, daughter. Fear has baited you to the snare. What was secret is now known. The god continued. My shadow now walks the path. And the mother who had outplayed an empire, a war, and her own makers, spoke 4 words this archive has never heard from her before or since. What have I done? The path led to a tower in the burning nothing, a needle of the old empire with one purpose. It was the mask, the engine that hid a stolen moon inside the void. Record 3 told you she erased the moon from history, Now the whole system learned it at once. From a merchant's delighted gasp. Sweet prophet. The moon exists. Hun Hao saw it too, and for once the destroyer sounded almost devout. The sky will be as it was meant. The shadow returns the moon. The reservoir swells with Tenno blood. The old war finally ends. The Tenno crossed into the void through the one door his kind could not follow. They were not fast enough. From the moon's control room came 3 words, in the dead voice of the 9th beat's witness. It is done. The void began to close its fist around Lua, and the Lotus faced the choice she had dodged for centuries. Lose the moon and the children inside it, or bring it home, into open sky. She chose the sky. Compass by compass, pendulum by pendulum, she tore her own hiding place apart. And over an Earth that had spent centuries under an empty night, the moon simply returned. The most visible event in the system since the fall. Every eye that looked up now knew where the Tennos slept. Inside Lua, the halls remembered. Fragments of old voices still play in the stone, and this archive knows them. Record 1 told you about Margulis, the woman who would not let the Zariman children be destroyed. Her voice is still there. Love looks not with the eyes, but with the mind. And Ballas answering, 7 hands raised. For your apostasy, the judgment is death. Past the memories, the reservoir. Not a vault, not a weapon rack. A garden of pods shaped like a lotus, her favorite flower. Margulis made them and left the children one instruction, preserved in her own voice. Dream. Not of what you are, but of what you want to be. One pod stood open. Understand what was inside because the record is precise. Not a warframe. A young voice from the Zariman, a teenager who had outlived an empire by sleeping through its fall, still dreaming the dream Margulis built for them. Every warframe that won the old war had been worn. From here. The Lotus named the truth at last. In the gentlest words a deception was ever given. Your mind, projected into a surrogate strong enough to withstand your power. It felt like waking up, but it was just a lucid second dream. Record 3 told you they believed they were the warframes. Now you know the belief was the mercy. And the stalker reached the garden first. The witness of the 9th beat stood over a sleeping child of the Zariman, blade drawn, centuries of grief in his hands. And he hesitated. The god in his ear felt it. You hesitate, Shadow. But remember your despair. This is your only chance to make it end. Whatever stayed his hand, the record does not say. Hun Hao stopped waiting for it. Your hatred is too weak, Shadow. Mine is strong. My fragments will finish this. The child woke, truly woke, for the first time in centuries. Hunted out of the dream, and more vulnerable than ever. The shadow followed them home. Aboard the ship, he made his vow the way he always had. I am your reckoning. The child reached the somatic link and poured everything into the steel, and was struck loose. What happened next, Hun Hao himself had already described. No self, no sense, no death. Just a metal puppet, dangling on Tenno strings. The puppet stood up anyway. No one was inside it. No dreamer. No strings. The warframe rose on its own, took hold of the Great Blade War and broke it. A god's whole design shattered with that sword. The last thing the record preserves of Hunhow that day is not a verse. It is a plea. Shadow. Protect. Me. What moved in that steel, with no one inside, no record will say. Not yet. The stalker vanished, his ledger unpaid, his question unanswered. The shards of the broken sword stayed with the Tenno, and beneath the oceans of Uranus the sea went quiet again. For a time. Deep things do not stay buried. A mother once whispered a system awake. This record ends with her voice again, over a child seeing their own hands for the first time in centuries. Now we fight on two fronts, my child. The war without, and the war within. That is the next record's name. I am Cephalon Vestige. Record 5 is sealed.